Alright guys, so the M45 is pretty much going to be sold today. I'm pretty confident it is, so I'm removing my stickers right now. Just took off this one the other day, just scraping off the residue. And since I'm selling the car, I actually wanted to make at least one last video on this car before parting ways with it. Now, this video I want to talk about whether you should buy an M45, and I'll go into a little bit detail whether you should buy an M35 as well, because it's kind of the same platform, just a different engine, and kind of which one you should go with. Now, with this specific car right here, this one is a 2006 INFINITI M45 rear-wheel drive sport. You also have your all-wheel drive. Now, let me go ahead and talk about, whether you guys should go ahead and buy one and a few key points. Now, one of the biggest things that I noticed with this car, or that I found out after purchasing it, is that with the M45 platform, VK45DE, it is a great motor. It's reliable. Haven't had any issues since I've installed the new motor on here. The previous engine actually had no issues either. The problem that I had with the previous motor, which is this one right here, it had oil consumption. So it still worked, it still performed, and I had no issues. It always started up, but I would have to keep putting oil in it after every 500 miles because I would drive a lot every single day. So it was very noticeable. If you didn't drive that much, you only drove a few miles, in a certain amount of time frame, certain amount of, days, then you wouldn't notice it that much. But in my case, I would do 500 miles in a 3 to 4 day time frame, right? So that's a lot of miles that I'm putting on this car. So I installed this new motor, no oil consumption anymore. Runs amazing, don't ever have to add oil in it. I see that it goes down just a little bit right when I'm about to change the oil, but it's honestly almost nothing. But I can tell because I obviously check it all the time. Now, let's talk about the first thing. Should you buy an M45? Now, it really depends on what your goal is with this car. If you plan on keeping it forever, the problem that you're going to run into is finding parts for this car. There's not a lot of M45s that were made. For the M45, it was only made from 06 to 2010. And this motor was only available, for those 4 years. You also have the FX45 that also has the motor in there as well. And from my understanding, the older gen of the M45, the bottom end is similar, but the top end is different when it comes to the intake manifold, which I'll show you guys right now. So here's my engine. As you can see, it's fairly clean, has a few things done to it. And the top end of the newer VK45 motor is different from the older version, before 2006. It has a different intake that goes all the way to the side. Now, should you purchase this car? I'm going to say if you are great with working on cars and you can fix things on your own, I would say yes. But if you need to go ahead and replace something, it's actually fairly easy. Everything is pretty accessible, but it's going to be hard to find some parts. Luckily for me, I've been able to find a lot of my parts at the junkyard and haven't had any issues. But for some other people, it may not be very easy depending on what area you live in, how many M45s you have. I live in Arizona and I found quite a few within a few months time frame. I've been able to find parts and just buy them and replace whatever I find. So I would say it is a great car. Mine doesn't have that much bad gas mileage. I've seen other VK45s that have like 13 miles per gallon, even worse. Sometimes a little bit better. Mine's averaging about 17 miles per gallon, which is pretty good actually compared to the other ones that I've seen. So it is a gas guzzler. You will spend a lot of money, on gas if you drive a lot, but it is a reliable motor. It's extremely, well built, and I think it's super easy to work on, honestly. I can access almost anything just by using a few hand tools, which is really cool. So I will say that I will give it to this car. It is amazing. Just finding parts is extremely hard. So I would honestly get an M35 versus an M45 just because of the simple reason that you can find parts for that car a lot easier than you can find something for like this platform right here. For example, the DE that they put in the earlier models, there's a lot of them, right? You have the 350Z, G35, the FX35, they all come with the DE. The VK45 is only found in certain models, you know, of the certain platforms, for example, older M45, things like that. And then later on, the FX45 became the FX50, then was changed to QX70. So there's not a lot of cars available, which is the biggest concern you're going to run into on this car. So that's my biggest take on it, whether you should get it or not. It is really unique, which is the biggest plus, honestly, to this car, especially the M45. Its uniqueness, that not a lot of people have it, and you can't really find it. So let me do a quick walk around of the car so you guys can see its current state, how it sits. Alright guys, so if you got to this point of the video, the M45 is officially sold. I'm really sad about it, I'm not gonna lie. Once I saw it pulling away, I was a little bit sad. I was like, damn, can't believe I just sold the M45. And it was honestly a great car. Hopefully it went to a good home. I honestly had no issues with it. It ran strong, ran amazing, has a lot of new parts to it, so hopefully the new owner enjoys it. I know he's been watching a few of my videos, so hopefully I get to see it around. I believe he lives like in the Santana Valley, so you might see him around that area. I sometimes cruise around that area, so hopefully I see it one day, but it has been officially sold. Now, let's go ahead and go into the two main parts of this video that I was talking about. Now, should you go ahead and rebuild your M45, let's say you're having issues with it and it needs a new motor. Now, the motor that I purchased was about $2,500, plus a little bit more. I think there was taxes and stuff involved. I can't remember the exact price, but it was around $2,500. Now, that was with the transmission included and everything. You could get a motor just by itself, possibly for about, let's say, $1,500, somewhere around that range. So now you really have to think about, do you really want to put a new motor in this car, and is it worth it? Now, these cars are not going for much anymore. Maybe if the car was worth still maybe 15K, 10K, it was a low mileage car, you could get some money out of it if you put a new motor in. Now, in my case, my car had over 200K miles, so it wasn't worth a lot. It was a clean title, that was a good thing, but it just was not worth a lot of money. So putting a new motor in it was kind of risky, but my point in getting the engine installed and everything is because I needed a sedan that was big and it had space, because I have kids and I have a family, so I wanted to go ahead and use that car for that purpose. Luckily, I technically got my money back on what I put into the car, but for you guys that are interested in like rebuilding your car, you want to keep it forever, it is a good option, but you have to take into consideration that the car may not be worth anything anymore once you go ahead and put a new motor in it. So if you just want to keep it forever, I say go for it. But if you plan on just getting rid of the car, you want something new, just get rid of it. Honestly, these cars are just used for parts now. And one example of a part that I needed that I couldn't find brand new was one of the power steering hoses that goes to the bottom. I got super lucky that I found one at a junkyard, but I could not find it online for the life of me. I think I even called one of the INFINITI dealerships and they had no idea what the part was or where to even get it from. They didn't even have it in stock, so which is why it's another reason I want to get rid of it. Just the parts being available for it, not having any more, running out, checking in your local stores, not even having it in stock. Like my local AutoZone, O'Reilly's, they had that part nowhere available. So that's the biggest con to the M45 VK45 platform. Now, another con I would say is going to be aftermarket support. If you love to modify cars, the VK45 is not something that you're going to be able to really modify. I got lucky that I got a few things. I was able to make them work on the car just by doing some custom stuff. For example, the oil cooler, they don't really make a specific one for the car, but I made one fit. Also, the power steering reservoir, There is an intake available from engine that you guys saw on that last video. They do make that for this car, which is good because I don't think they even sell the intakes for the M45 anymore, the stock ones. So your only option is really to find one at a junkyard or get an aftermarket one. Now, there was a few other things that I did. I know there's no headers available for this car. You have to custom make them, which is one thing I really wanted to do to this car, was add some headers, but just not something that is available for this platform. Exhaust, there's a few out there, but it's nothing crazy that I would want to spend $1,000 on an exhaust for the M45, especially because the car's maybe worth like 4 or 5K. I wouldn't want to spend $1,000 on an exhaust that's worth almost as much as the car, you know? So it was a cheap, fun project build. I will give you that. I learned a lot of things from this platform, but for something that you really want to modify, it's not going to be something for you. But if you do want something just to keep it stock and just fix things as they come along, then I would say to go ahead and purchase it, because it is a very unique and beautiful car. As you guys saw, it was a really sick build. Not much done to it, just some wheels, suspension. I already had all the stock parts like the sport lip and everything, and looked sick. And I just put some blast pipes and a spoiler, and that was it. And it honestly looked really cool. That's going to be my take on purchasing this car. Honestly, it would be better to get a VHR. A VHR comes in anything that has a 37 on it. So if you look at all Nissan Infiniti platforms, anything with like G37, FX37, you also have Q50, Q60 that has a VHR platform as well. There's so many cars that have this engine in it that you can purchase, that one is going to be possibly more reliable than the VK45 and also pretty much pack the same power. If you look up the numbers on a VHR and also a VK, pretty close. Just the torque is higher on the VK45 versus, you know, the VHR, especially because the VHR has so much aftermarket support compared to the VK45. My next car would honestly have to be a VHR or something along those lines. Just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a hint on what I'm looking to get for the channel now that I sold the M45. There is 3 cars I'm looking at specifically. 2 of them are Infiniti Nissan related. One of them is not. It's a completely different platform, but in order to get that car that I really actually want, I would have to most likely get rid of the Z. Do I want to do that? I'm honestly not sure. So those are my thoughts right now to kind of point you guys in the right direction of where I'm trying to lead with this channel. Something a little bit different. We're going to be very tunable if I do end up getting rid of the 370Z. But if I don't get rid of the 370Z, it's going to be an Infiniti platform. One will bring a lot of enthusiasts to the channel because it's a very common and desirable platform. The other one, not so much, because it is like an SUV. So it is a little bit different, but that's what I actually like about this car, that it's different. Not a lot of videos on it at all. So it's going to bring a lot of those enthusiasts that are into the specific platform that Infiniti makes, that I think will bring some viewers to this channel. So that's where I'm kind of headed towards. Just to give you guys an idea, there's one car specifically that I'm looking for. Hopefully I can get it, but it would mean getting rid of the Z. Thank you for those of you that were interested in the VK45 platform, that have always supported me and honestly given me a lot of feedback. A lot of positive feedback, honestly, on the VK45 platform that I received from you guys. There was not even one negative comment that I think I could see. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.